silver,
Yeah.
its divergence from inflation, it's way, way undervalued. And then the mining stocks have been underperforming for, I think, since 2007 or 8. If you take the HUI index divided by gold, you see this downtrend. It looks like we might be able to do a breakout on the downtrend right now.
I tell people there are two reasons to own gold, and one is insurance and the other is investment.
Hi, welcome to the Gold Silver Show. I've got a very special guest, Brien Lundin, who is the author of the Gold Newsletter and the host of the longest running precious metals convention in the world, in history. It's the New Orleans Investment Conference. Brien, how are you doing?
Doing great, Mike. Thank you so much for the chance to talk with you about our favorite subjects.
Yeah, which is precious metals.
Yeah.
So, you've been hosting this New Orleans Investment Conference for 50 years or more now. I mean, this is a real history. Well, you haven't been hosting it for 50 years. You've been hosting it for 41, I think you said.
Well, I've been involved in it for 41 years,
Okay.
or at 40 years, and this will be the 41st. But I've actually been running the event for about 25. My mentor in the industry, Jim Blanchard, brought me in as a junior copywriter for his coin and bullion company in 1985. And Jim really started everything. He started Gold Newsletter as part of his efforts to return the right of gold ownership to American citizens, and it evolved into the longest running. I think it's the longest running investment newsletter in the world today.
I never met Jim, but I know that he was pretty much single handedly the person that brought gold back to the American public, that he was his crusade that he was on to make gold legal once again was the one of the reasons for the law change in 1974 that allowed Americans to purchase and invest in gold on the first day of 1975. Am I correct?
Absolutely. And he started the New Orleans Investment Conference in 1974. Back then, it was called the National Committee for Monetary Reform. And before that, the National Committee to Legalize Gold. And then it evolved into becoming the New Orleans Investment Conference, covering all the markets, et cetera. But Mike, you would have absolutely loved Jim. He was an extremely charismatic individual, just fiercely dedicated to personal liberty and sound money. And what we're trying to do, or have been trying to do over the last few decades, is really just burnish the legacy that he started and try to continue it through education and really hopefully at some point returning the gold and silver as legal money in the United States.
Yeah, I know his son. His son Anthem is a friend of mine,
Yeah.
and I've known Anthem for quite a few years now. But Jim would do things. I mean, he hired a plane to tow a banner over the Capitol building, or it was during the inauguration, wasn't it? Nixon's
Yeah, President
inauguration.
Nixon's second inauguration, he had a banner that said, reading "Legalize Gold" flown over the inauguration, and they would have just shipped him straight to Guantanamo Bay today
Yeah,
and shot the plane down.
yeah, and he was in a wheelchair,
Yeah,
and he would on the steps of the Capitol building when gold was illegal. He was brandishing bars of bullion. I
yeah,
mean, this guy had some guts.
he really did, and he would put out press releases, just daring the Treasury and the ATF to come arrest him, but they were too smart to do that. But he was hoping they would. But yeah, he smuggled gold in from Canada and would have press conferences and events across the country and daring the Treasury to arrest him. And yeah, he was quite the character, went all over the world behind the bamboo and iron curtains, spreading the message of freedom in a wheelchair from the North Pole through Africa, all over the world. Nothing stopped him. And yeah, it's a big legacy to uphold. And It's something we try to do every day.
So I'm going to be speaking at your conference, and there's a code that everybody can use if they register uh, before the conference. They get a $400 discount. If they wait until the conference, it's going to cost them $400 more. But it's neworleansconference.com/Maloney. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so, if you do decide to come, I'll make some time where the people, please use that code so that we can get a count of how many people signed up uh, because of this YouTube channel, and I'll set aside some time where I can speak with all the people that came because of this channel. Uh, so where do you think the economy is right now, and where do you think it's headed?
Well, the economy, who knows? But I do think there's signs that it's slowing down. The jobs numbers have been pretty dismal and showing a definite sign of deceleration. And that's why Jerome Powell could not or could no longer hold out and had to cut a quarter point. It's interesting. All this talk about Fed independence, and we know that's been kind of a sham throughout its history. There's always been some influence. But this, I believe, is the first time where political influence actually was counterproductive, in that Powell was resisting just because Trump was calling for rate cuts so publicly and vehemently. Powell was resisting rate cuts, and finally he had to acquiesce. And this is starting a new Fed easing cycle. We knew it was coming. They can't, because of 4.5 decades of ever easier money and therefore ever greater debts. We're in a situation right now where we can't manage the fiscal balance. We can't manage the budget with deficits or debts this high, because the cost of servicing those debts at normal interest rates just collapses the federal budget, doesn't leave enough money to really do anything else. So we have to. This is kind of my major theme and thesis on the macro picture, is that going forward, the interest rates have to be lower than the rate of inflation. The currency has to depreciate more quickly than the rate you're paying on the debt, or everything falls apart. So that's negative real rates going forward. That's tremendously bullish for gold, silver, real tangible assets.
Yeah, Alan Hibbert and I just did a video on negative real rates and how they are rocket fuel for gold. And the thing is that we're already in negative real rates, so this cut makes it more negative. It makes it, you get punished more for holding bonds, which are considered the safe haven investment. And here we have this gold bull market that is just taking off like a rocket, and the fuel isn't coming from America right now. I'm a dealer. We aren't seeing a lot of retail sales. The interest just isn't there.
Yeah.
It seems to all be coming from Asia. What's your opinion on those things? Hi, it's Mike here. Just a quick message. I wanted to welcome the huge number of new visitors to our videos, but point out that less than 15% of our viewers have subscribed to this channel and hit the notification bell. We're heading into some turbulent times, so if you don't want to miss any updates, make sure you enable notifications. And thank you as always for clicking the thumbs up button. One more thing. At GoldSilver.com, we've been providing top-notch educational content for over 20 years. If you'd like to help us continue this mission, we'd be honored to be your precious metals dealer. It's a win-win. At the moment, you can get up to $2,000 in bonus silver by ordering from us. Check out GoldSilver.com in the link below. Thanks, and now back to the video.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. I look at it as there have only been 4 bull markets in the history of gold, in the 4, 5, 6,000 year history of gold. There have only been 4 bull markets because until 1971 and really 1974, gold was money. It was not an investable asset in the investment markets. So if you look at that, then I look at the early 70s, the late 70s, the 2000s, and this current bull market as being the only 4 bull markets in this history. And this one's unique. It's the only one where Gold was driven higher by central banks and Asian investment without the participation of Western markets. And now these Western markets are trying to get into, or these Western investors and traders are trying to jump aboard the train, but they see how far gold has gone, and they're trying to get in through the leveraged associated investments like silver and mining stocks, which so far have lagged in this market. So
Yeah.
for investors, not for people who are trying to insure their wealth, for investors who are trying to take advantage of this trend, it's a perfect world. The bull market's here. That risk has been removed, but some of the most high-powered investments in that sector, being like silver and mining stocks, are still lagging and still at long-term or near long-term lows by many, many measures. So it's just a perfect opportunity, I think.
If you're inflation adjusting gold and silver, they're both undervalued. If you look at silver,
Yeah.
its divergence from inflation, it's way, way undervalued. And then the mining stocks have been underperforming for, I think, since 2007 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
On the average, there's been if you take Dan will put up a chart later. If you take the HUI index divided by gold, you see this downtrend. It looks like we might be able to do a breakout on the downtrend right now. Now, you're also somebody that recommends having a core position in physical, and then you take your more speculative currency and turn that into the mining stocks for leverage, right?
Yeah, I try to simplify it for people who are new to the sector, as you do, and I tell people there are two reasons to own gold, and one is insurance, and the other is investment. And the first thing you do is insure your wealth, because owning gold and silver has been proven over long sweeps of time to protect against the ongoing depreciation of the purchasing power of individual currencies. This is something that's going on throughout human history. It's human nature. It's repeating as we see. And by buying gold and silver, you take whatever currency that you convert into gold and silver, and you protect it from that depreciation that is going to happen. It's not like buying your home insurance, because you don't really expect your home to catch on fire or flood, but you're protecting against that. In this case, it's something is going to happen. Your dollars are going to buy much less 3, 5, 10 years down the road. And if you put that money now into gold and silver, you're locking in today's exchange rate. You're locking in today's purchasing power of that currency, and you're protecting yourself. So insurance is the most important thing that anyone, from everyday Americans, working stiffs to billionaires, need to do to protect their wealth right now, because inflation, as we've seen, is only going to accelerate in the days ahead.
That's a very interesting point of view. I haven't considered this before, that most insurances, if you buy fire insurance or earthquake insurance for your home, tornado insurance or something like that, there is a 99.9% chance that you're not going to be using it.
Yeah.
When you buy health insurance, you do use that once in a while, but it's calculated so that the insurance companies still win.
Yes.
With precious metals, there is 100% chance. There is no possibility that you're not going to be cashing in on this insurance. No possibility. So it's 100% certainty that you are going to be using this insurance policy and you're going to win. Very interesting take on that. I thank you.
Yeah. And, to illustrate that, there's a great website called pricedingold.com.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they updated it more often, but it shows various assets and indices priced in gold over history. And if you look at the charts, you'll see that the S&P 500 is trading at the same level as the 1930s and 40s, priced in
Yeah.
gold.
I used to have a website called Wealth Cycles that I did that with,
Yeah.
and it just wasn't financially viable. It was
Yeah.
so.
It has to be a hobby to
Yeah,
keep up on
yeah.
our published chart.
So, but yeah, pricing everything in gold,
Yeah.
and showing how everything goes through a cycle when you do this. I do believe that gold isn't just insurance, that there are these rare moments in history. 1934, the 1970s, and the 2000s, where it becomes both insurance, the safe haven asset, and the asset class with the single potential greatest gains in purchasing power.
Yeah.
And so I see it as both. And then when you want to add leverage, that's where mining stocks and, well, silver is leverage. But mining stocks, I want to caution the viewers that they need a team. Robert Kiyosaki says investing is a team sport. And when you subscribe to a newsletter like Brian's, you're getting professional guidance. Somebody that your likelihood of winning and potentially winning big goes up many fold when you start getting the information that people like Brien provide. If you just go into the precious metals mining sector and start investing willy-nilly without the knowledge of somebody that knows how to analyze all these claims and mines and these different companies and their management teams, because you're investing in the team basically as much as you are in the mine that they've got. And so it takes a professional like Brien to be a winner in here. So I would suggest going and checking out his gold newsletter. It's on. You can see it on the New Orleans Investment Conference.com website. So, do you have anything further you want to talk about, Brien?
Yeah, I think this is a generational opportunity, Mike. The last time I saw an opportunity like this was the early 2000s. And back then, 1999 and 2000, that was a double bottom in gold and silver. And back then, both the metals and the mining stocks were absolutely bombed out at multi-decadal lows. And you had to have a lot of courage to invest in the sector back then and realize the gains that were about to come, because gold and silver and the mining stocks all started to take off. This is, again, a truly unique opportunity, both in its nature and its potential, because we know we're in a bull market. Gold has already moved. That risk factor has been removed. And yet we still have laggards like silver, as you can see from the gold silver ratio, is a tremendous value vis-a-vis gold. Mining stocks, if you look at standard metrics like price to NAV, price to earnings, they are making money, minting money right now with margins that have never been seen in history before, and yet they still are lagging behind by all these valuation metrics. So it's a tremendous opportunity, as you say, during one of these catch-up periods where gold and silver and the mining stocks respond and make really quick moves. It's a tremendous opportunity to build wealth, even while you're also insuring your wealth.
I absolutely agree. However, I do believe that this time we are coming up to the end of Nixon's grand experiment of ending the Bretton Woods system and putting the entire world on fiat currencies. And this time, if that's true, then this time the gains are going to be the largest in history. And the winners and losers, the people that lose are going to lose more than any time in history, and the people that win are going to win more than any time in history. Because when a currency comes to an end, the wealth transfer that happens is immense. So I want to thank you. Oh, by the way, everybody, NewOrleansConference.com /Maloney. And so check this out. I will be speaking there along with people like Robert Kiyosaki, Ken McElroy, and Peter Schiff, and a host of others. So check it out. I want to thank you, Brien. This was great.
Thanks, Mike. Always a pleasure. I truly appreciate the opportunity to talk with you again.